Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm here to talk about three stocks. Yes, one, two, three stocks that I think are going to boom big over the next 3 to 5 years, over the next year. It's going to happen very soon, and then I think that's going to continue for a long time to come. So if you do enjoy this video, be sure to smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Let's get right into it. So we had a pretty flat day in the portfolio. You see, before market open, it was looking pretty good and then dropped a lot. That is because AMD is my largest holding. It dropped a lot at the beginning of the market, as did most of the stock market. But I'm looking to actually move a lot of AMD into these other stocks that I'm talking about today. I've had a good return on AMD with about, I think it's sitting around just below 50%. 46% return on AMD. So I'm happy with it. I'm going to move a little bit of money out of that. But the first stock we're here to talk about today is Google. Google is at $252. This stock has been on a tear recently. I was talking about it when it was, just around 200, just around 190. That's when I actually ended up buying it. I bought Google at 191. Didn't put in as much as I wanted to, but it's okay. I'm in a dollar cost average. I'm probably going to put in $500 about right after this video. So Google is at an all-time high right now, but that cannot scare you away because look at their PE ratio. It's only 26. Yes, Google's at an all-time high, but with the PE ratio of 26, they're not even close to. I mean, think about Google, you think about Apple. Let's look at Apple's PE ratio, 36. It's 10 points higher. And then let's look at Microsoft's PE ratio, also very closely related to Google. It's at 37. I think Google deserves a PE ratio of 40. I think people are going to see that very soon. And when they do, I mean, the stock price, you can just, that's almost going up by pretty much, it's going up by half. So you can times Google's price by 1.5, 50% gain. I think that's where it's going to be pretty soon here, just solely based on the PE ratio. I think their numbers are going to be better as well, but I think that is what's going to happen. And if you guys are up for it, this is going to be a longer video. I'm going to go more in depth on these stocks and why I think you should buy. So Google, first off, is just insanely compelling. Look at their revenues. They're growing at a 14% clip. This is year over year from quarter two 2024 to quarter two present year. We see they grew from 84, or this is in the millions, but 84,000 to 96,000. We see their cost of revenues is up a little bit. That makes sense. They're up 14%. Everything is up a teeny bit. That makes sense. Total cost and expenses up as well. Income is up. That's all that matters. Net income is up as well. That's great to see. We see Alphabet's revenues and operating income. We have that. We just talked about that. Alphabet's cost of revenues and operating expenses went up at a much slower clip than their actual revenue did. So costs going up slower than the revenue. That means higher profit. Great to see. Let's look at the segments here. So Google is great because they're building an ecosystem. This is what every great company does. Apple has their ecosystem, Apple Pay, Apple Music, Apple TV. Just everything that they have, same thing with Microsoft, Amazon. All the great companies have it. Google has this. They have Google Search, they have YouTube ads, they have Google Network, and then they have subscriptions, platforms, and devices. They own Android. If you Google Pixel, I mean, there's a lot of things that Google has. So we see they're up 20% on their subscriptions, platforms, and devices. I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon. That's a sector that's often overlooked because it's not the biggest. It's not as big as their Google Search with their advertisements. But I think that's very overlooked. And then YouTube ads are going up as well as YouTube continues to grow, which I don't think it's going to slow down. That's where you guys are watching this video right now. Google's ads on YouTube, they're going to be getting paid more and more. We see that Google Network actually went down a little bit. Not worried about that at all. It's not one of their main revenue drivers. And then Google Search, obviously, up a lot. So their operating margin is, up the same amount. It's good to see. Google Cloud revenues and operating income. I wanted to talk about this. Google Cloud is Amazon's AWS. Google has one as well. Microsoft has one. All of the big companies have one. Google Cloud is gaining, you can't turn your head at this anymore. Google Cloud is gaining a pretty big market share in this cloud computing space. And I'm surprised. I thought AWS was going to be one of the biggest leaders, but that's actually why Amazon dropped a little bit. Their past earnings, if we look at Amazon, they beat earnings. Let's take a look right here. Amazon's one that I also hold in my portfolio. Great stock. Think you should buy it too. But if we take a look at the past 3 months, we can see when they announced earnings, there's a pretty sharp drop, 234 to 211. I mean, there was a decent drop, and this was because people think they're losing market share in their AWS, which was their fastest growing sector in their business. So Google Cloud taking market share, I really like to see that. That's, honestly amazing. We look at their free cash flow. So their free cash flow is actually going down, which I'm not worried about at all. I think it's fine. They're making more and more investments. Google continues to acquire great companies, which actually leads me into my next point, Waymo. If you guys don't know what Waymo is, it's an autonomous driving service that operates. They operate in San Francisco, they operate in Los Angeles, they operate in parts of Arizona, Texas, and that's pretty much it. They do operate in a few other cities, not as big, but they're expanding very fast. So what they are is basically an Uber without a driver. You can call them to, pick you up, and an autonomous driving vehicle will pick you up. There's nobody driving. You use the app. You can, everything like that. So basically, they're just Uber, but there's always one available. They have, higher profit margins. They don't have to pay a driver. There's no union or labor strikes. Nothing can stop them. They're pretty much, it's just a better version of Uber, honestly. It's harder to start, but who's going to do it? Google. So they think that Alphabet is positioned to grow its valuation by well over 3x from the already huge $2 trillion figure now. Very much agree with that. The growth is compelling and the addressable market is massive. This is very true. A little bit of math right here. They're saying that we're talking revenues of close to $300 billion a year. If we look at Google's revenue right now, we see that it is not even at that. It's at around we can even look over here. Or they don't have the earnings on Robinhood, do they? I'm wrong. But you see their revenues they're at around $1 billion. So it's my fault. I'm doing the math wrong. But Google's revenues are not even that high. But to grow it at 300 billion, that's pretty good. So we see that Waymo is they're at 100 billion right now. I'm doing the math wrong. But if you grow it by 300 billion, then you're 4xing the stock's value pretty much. But we see returns for Google stock were 65%, minus 39%, and then 59%. This company was all over the place last couple of years, but the part that I want to talk about with Waymo is right here. So these are self-driving cars, no human drivers, no unions, no employee or contractor issues, and no human costs. You don't need to pay a driver. You're just paying for the car, which is going to pay itself off. A driver is a constant fee. While there will be other expenses, such as software development and battery costs, the absence of driver wages could lead to exceptionally high margins of 50%. There's not a lot of businesses out there with 50% margins, guys. That's a special one. If you can find a business with 50% margins on their product, I'd suggest to invest in them. If they're getting sales and their margins are that high, it's probably a great company. So if Waymo can capture about 1/3 of the $1 trillion autonomous rides market, it could generate annual revenues of around $300 billion with a 50% margin. That's a neat $150 billion in profit. $150 billion in profit. What's that worth? At 30 times earnings multiple, that would imply an additional valuation of $4.5 trillion for Alphabet. And considering that it's roughly worth $2 trillion presently, if we look at Alphabet right here, we can see that presently, I think it's a little bit more than $2 trillion now that they've gone on this run right here. It's about it's $3 trillion actually. It's $3 trillion now. I'm very surprised at that. I didn't know it grew that fast. But Google is at $3 trillion now, and they're saying that this would take the company's market cap over $6.5 trillion, now over $7.5 trillion, which I don't think is crazy. So I think Google is going to be the biggest company in the world as we get into the future. They're positioned greatly. Also over $500 per share. I very much agree with that too. I'm definitely going to be buying Google heavy over the next couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months. I think that Google, yes, it's at an all-time high, but this is a company that's always reaching all-time highs. If you didn't buy it right here when it was at an all-time high, you would have missed out from 183 to 252, which you're almost getting into that double up range or up 50%. You can't really complain. So you need to buy great companies even when they're at all-time highs. You can't try to time the market, as people say. It's not worth it. So the next stock we're going to talk about, one that I'm also a shareholder of, a pretty big shareholder, not huge, is SoFi. SoFi had a great day today. They're having an insane year, up 88%. The past year, they're up 250%. And then they haven't even been a public company for 5 years. This is a banking company. They're a fintech company. They work in the finance space, the banking space. They have their own mobile app. What's special about this company is they don't have any locations. You look at Wells Fargo, let's pull up their stock right here. Wells Fargo, you check them out, you see, oh my gosh, this company has 217,000 employees. Their PE ratio is 14. They have a staggering market cap of $267 billion. You pull up Chase. Let's pull up JP Morgan Chase. We see that they have actually a staggering 317,000 employees, a low 16 PE ratio, and then a humongous $861 billion market cap. Now let's look at SoFi. Let's compare these two banking giants to one of the newest emerging ones. Only $33 billion market cap, 5,000 employees, and then a PE ratio of 54. So this company is growing at a clip that these other banks couldn't even imagine. The 54 PE ratio to, what was it, a 16 and like a 12, a 14. I mean, those are PE ratios that those companies are not competitive. They're just huge. This company is competitive. They only have 5,000 employees. That's because they have 0 locations. Their clientele is young people that want to use their phones to deposit their check, to bank. They want to call people. They don't want to walk in places. Exactly the opposite from Wells Fargo and Chase. Their clientele is boomers, people that are older, baby boomers, just people of that age that want to go into the bank and, deposit their check, or they want to go to the teller. They want to talk to them about something. And SoFi has made it so that they don't need to pay a lease. They don't need to pay these, hundreds of thousands of employees. So their overhead is that much lower than Wells Fargo, than Chase, JP Morgan. So this is making it very easy for them to have insanely high growth rates. And also it's making them easy to take over JP Morgan and Wells Fargo as the years come. I mean, I personally bank at Wells Fargo, for full transparency. That's just because my dad did, but I just signed up for Wells Fargo. And I go there, in the bank sometimes if you want to take out like a large amount of cash, or, just a reason like that. You need to go in sometimes. I mean, you could use the ATM, but that's just a reason where, maybe you want to go in. There's nobody working there. There's like 2 employees because they can't afford it. They're losing money, but they need to have it because that's their whole customer base. SoFi's whole customer base is young people, which they try to target with their advertisements on TV, their advertisements on YouTube. You might have saw a SoFi ad before watching this, funny enough. But SoFi is just, they're just that great. And their main customer base is young people whose net worths are growing the fastest over the next couple of years. Or over the next century. I mean, over the next few decades, over the next, tens of decades. They have the fastest growing net worth because as your age increases, your net worth does too. So let's see, the year-over-year growth in members, 34%, just insane. I mean, if you're growing at that clip, it's like your company is just going to take over eventually. Their product's growing at 53%. Their growth rates are insane. That's why their PE ratio is so high. This company is insanely competitive. Their margins are 29% on EBITDA. Their adjusted net revenue is up 44% year over year. Gosh, I mean, diversified revenue, we see they're actually breaking into their fee-based revenue, which is up 72% year over year. Doesn't look like it's slowing down. This is a special stock, to say the least. And you can't be scared again. I mean, this company is expensive, and I mean, I've been one that's been scared to invest into expensive companies. I'm not going to lie. If there's a company that looks like it's at an all-time high, I'm scared to invest in it. I think, oh, my risk is high. This company could drop tomorrow, but SoFi is one that I'm so confident in that I'm still going to buy shares. I just need to own more of this company. That's why I'm still dollar cost averaging up in SoFi, because I think we have a Palantir situation on our hands. I don't want to say that. I don't want to put nobody put words in my mouth, but I mean, the way that the stock rose off initial IPO, that's very normal. Growth rates were high for a little bit. People thought, okay, the stock might be really good. Growth rates slowed down. They begin to speed back up. If we take a look at Palantir stock, let me type that in correctly. If we take a look at Palantir stock, we can see that they have a pretty similar story, which you can't even see anymore. Off the IPO, they initially rose. They were like they had great growth rates. This is all the way just from 2020 to 2021, just the beginning of 2021. We see that they rose to $35. They dropped and stayed around $7 for a little bit. Growth rates started looking good again. They got back to that $35 mark, just right around here. Now this stock is $177 with a 52-week high of $190. So, take with that what you will. They're not the same company. They're in different spaces. But I think that this is a common theme in these great companies is they'll have amazing growth rates, and then you, as the buyer, get the chance to get in while they have those low growth rates. If you didn't get in during those low growth rates, don't feel bad. You can still get in while they're on the comeback up. So I think that now is a great time. This is one of the last times where it's going to be a great time to invest into SoFi. We see that also, if we keep looking at, SoFi's earnings report, we see that they actually have their technology platform segment. Accounts are growing on this too. It's great to see. Their funding net interest margins are increasing as well. Really can't complain. I mean, this company, their financials are insane. I could go through them all day. They're updating their guidance to be higher than, even what they thought it was. They updated it to 30%. Before it was between 24 and 27. So on the low end of 24, they brought it up 6%, thinking what they were going to do. Everything went up. They're just having a great year. And then we could even look at this. I mean, this is just basically what we checked out, but we see how much, higher they are on every single one of these stats. They're growing at just insane clips. I mean, the growth rates on this company are ones that, every company in the stock market would kill to have, to replicate, because they can't. This is just a company with a competitive advantage. They're set up in a great space, a money-making space, and they really have no competitors. There's nobody that's doing it like SoFi, and that's why they have such a high PE ratio and their stock is so expensive right now. But I think it deserves this valuation. I mean, look at the way they're beating earnings. Look at the way they're growing. It's insane. And this company was unprofitable just around a year or two ago. This company was losing money quarter over quarter. So that's why you got to get into these companies. That brings me into my next one, before they start taking off like this. Another one of those companies is Honest. This is my third stock right here. This is one I think you should also invest in, but I wouldn't, take out all my money from all my other stocks and put it into Honest. This is a little bit more of a riskier play, but the stock is setting up like the graphs I'm showing on those other ones. It just hasn't had the run back up yet. So to be completely transparent, this is a lot less of an explosive sector in the stock market. We see that they're actually in the household goods and personal care sector. Not one that's really growing at a very high rate usually, but I actually did invest $100 into Honest just today. Put $101.50, got 25 shares of Honest at $4.06, down 3 cents on all those right now. Feeling the pain. But you can see I'm down 8% on Honest as it is as a shareholder, and I'm completely fine with that. I think that the way that they're going to grow is a lot better than that. This company, Honest, is a great representation of, they have healthy products that people are using. They have diapers, wipes, bath, skincare, home cleaning, and health and wellness products. This company offers like non-toxic products for your baby, things that you'd actually want your baby to use, wear, and not feel bad about it, because there's a lot of these big companies that just don't care about people's health. They're just trying to make it as cheap as they can. But Honest does a great job making cheap products. Their profit margins are still good, but they're actually making, great products, ones that people want to use. Honest, that has a market cap of 450 million. If we look in the same, sector that Honest is in, 450 million, Procter and Gamble has a $368 billion market cap. That's almost 100 times higher than what Honest has. I mean, I'm just putting something out there. This could happen for Honest. I don't see that. I mean, I don't see them getting that high that fast. I don't think they're going to 100x over the next couple of years, but I do think that they have a very simple chance to 10x and have, $4 billion market cap, be this nice little niche company that's doing good and has good growth rates and is getting spots on the shelves. They're in Target. They're in these big retail brands. I think that they're going to continue to be put on the shelves in these big stores, and people are going to continue to buy it just because why would you not want something natural for your newborn baby who you love more than anyone? You want them to be as healthy as possible. So I did actually pull up, so their first quarter earnings in 2025 and then their second quarter earnings in 2025. So I want to just compare both of them because the first quarter has more of a story to tell, I think. So we see their revenue is up 12.8%. This company was losing money just a couple quarters ago. I mean, look at their earnings right here. Look at the chart. I mean, they were in the negatives. They came in at -4 earnings per share. And then just recently they became profitable. So this is a company that is risky. I will say I do believe in their, their game plan. Their CEO was the head of P&L at Amazon, recently. So I do, that gives me a pretty good feeling. This is a passion company too. The company was founded by Jessica Alba, who passionately made this company, which I always think, those companies tend to succeed if there's passion behind the CEO. Not always, you can be passionate and still fail, but I think that it's probably going to do pretty well. Carla B. Vernon knows what she's doing. She's from Amazon. Amazon's doing okay. She's pretty high up at Amazon. So for her to leave that position for this company, she's probably, she sees something that other people don't, I think. And this company, I mean, it's not like insiders don't own any shares. They want to make money too. So this company is very cheap. If we zoom out to the 5-year chart too, we just see it's been, pretty much straight down. They've been at $8 before. I was in there during that time. And I mean, look at how quick they jumped from $3.76. This is November 1st. Not even the end of November, they went up to $8. So a lot can change very fast for a company like this at this low of a market cap. We see the first quarter, they actually increased revenue by 12.8%. This is why, people thought, okay, this company is going to turn around. Gross margins, kind of actually, or that increased as well. We see the operating expenses increase as well. That's normal. But then we see their net income loss increased. Net income margin also increased. So a lot of good stats for this company. I mean, this is just the first quarter. And then if we take a look at the second quarter, another decent showing of stats, same thing kind of, but they didn't really increase revenue at all. This company is still in the early growth stages, though. You're not going to get, the thing about this company is when you get good news, you're going to get good news. Like, if you're like, you have to be in this company before the good news. So there is a possibility that there's just bad news. I don't see that with this company, but obviously there is a possibility for that. But you have to be in this company before they get that good news, before people say, oh, okay, this company is profitable. You need to buy this stock. You need to be in there before that so that you can actually reap the benefits and the rewards of when people actually see the company, okay, the company's making money. I need to buy right now. And the stock price does the thing where it shoots from $4 all the way to $8 in less than a month. So this was very fast, less than 3 weeks for the stock to rise that much. Not a lot of stocks are rising 100% in 3 weeks in the stock market. So I think this is one that you really need to get into right now. Like I said, don't throw your whole portfolio at this. I will tell you that right now, that is not worth it. I'd make my main holdings, if it's not an ETF, make it reputable companies like Google and Amazon. Those are, great companies. Apple, Microsoft, anything in the Mag 7 is usually pretty good. I'd base my portfolio around something like Amazon or Google right now. Personally, those are my two favorite out of the Mag 7, out of the big companies that are, consistently outweighing the S&P 500 and doing great. So yeah, I think that Honest is a good play if you do want to go out there for a little bit of a riskier play. And I think that the rewards are very high if this company succeeds, or when they do succeed, because I see them succeeding. I believe in their, I've read their financial sheet through. Not amazing, but I think that with the CEO and the leadership in this company, I see the direction that she's taking it in, and I think it's a very good one. I think it's one that is going to, they're going to make a lot of money eventually. And when they get put in those right positions, which it's only a matter of time, you're going to have been happy to invest when it was only, $4. So that's my take on Honest. Definitely not the same as the two other companies, but I wanted to, kind of diversify these companies. We have a a mega cap, one of the highest, market caps in the stock market, a mid cap stock, one that's pretty cheap, and then a micro cap stock that is a very cheap company. So that's all I have for today's video, guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to smash that like button. It helps me out a lot, helps out the channel, helps push this video to more people so they can invest in these great stocks. And if you are not a part of the channel already, be sure to subscribe. I really appreciate your guys' support. I'll catch you in the next one. Daily uploads, daily videos, same content. We're talking about stocks and how to make money. Catch you in the next one. Peace.